Hello and welcome to Football Daily. Today we're highlighting 10 players who are being misused or underappreciated from around Europe this season. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below for a chance to be featured on this week's Sunday Vibes. 10. Dele Alli. What is Dele Alli at this point? The Englishman is still only 25 and as recently as 2018 was one of the Prem's best attacking midfielders, producing 63 goals and assists in his first 3 years in the division. But since summer 2020 he's played just 23 games and grabbed only 2 goal involvements, and as things stand is putting up just 0.05 expected goals a match, the same as Hugo Lloris. There should be a role for Alli under Conte. The Italian has often accommodated a midfield runner into his lineups, like Vidal or Barella, and Alli has the skills, but right now he's not doing much of anything. With 23 passes a game down from a previous high of 40, he's about as involved as a striker, but only creates a single shot per 90, while his forward passing and dribbles have hit all-time lows. The only stat popping is defensive output, regaining possession 5 times a match. But while that's impressive and testament to his desire to help the team, it's hardly the best use of his talents. As useful as Mora, Lo Celso and Bergwijn can be, none of them is a nailed-on starter, opening the door for Alli to return to the lineup. And with 18 Premier League sides outscoring Spurs so far this season, perhaps the Lily-Whites need to play their wild card. 9. Dan James. Leeds have suffered a poor start to the campaign, sinking to 16th at the time of writing, and understandably that's placed Marcelo Bielsa under scrutiny, as well as £26 million summer signing Daniel James. The second most expensive player in Peacock's history, the Welshman will be eager to justify his fee, but with Patrick Bamford missing 65% of minutes so far, James has been pressed into service as a striker with mixed results. The former United man has registered a goal and an assist, but he's been far less effective through the middle, unable to use his blistering pace. From wide he completes twice as many dribbles as he does centrally, and he creates more chances too. But surprisingly his shooting numbers are also better, with more attempts on goal and more from inside the box when playing off the wing. Perhaps because he can use his speed to get separation in the wide areas, but lacks the guile to evade centre-halves when he features up front. He may not be as skillful as the average Bielsa player, but the Welshman's athleticism could be a lethal weapon if employed correctly. As the squad returns to full fitness, expect him to return to the wing and the stats to take a turn for the better. 8. Sergino Dest. After years of playing Sergio Roberto as a makeshift right-back, Barcelona finally bought a specialist there in 2020, only to use Sergino Dest out of position so they can play Roberto and centre-half Mingueza at right-back instead. Of Dest's 18 League and Champions League games this term, 9 have come in a different role, and half his minutes on the right wing, despite Coutinho languishing on the bench. The American hasn't been bad with 3 assists so far, but unless his long-term future is in attack, he needs game time in his proper position, where his attributes are sorely needed. Barca are still reliant on Busquets and Alba to get the ball forward, but Dest is making 4 progressive passes a game, 5th in the squad, while his 10 forward carries is 3rd in Spain. And these numbers could climb higher if he spends less time upfield. It's also unclear if this role switch is really beneficial. He's great at receiving outlet passes for a fullback but below average for a winger, so it makes sense to field him in the role where he exceeds expectations. The hope is that Xavi will return Dest to the backline and Dani Alves can help mentor him as he grows. And with that teaching and these numbers at 21, he could turn out to be a great. 7. Boubakary Soumaré. After taking 1.7 points a game last season, Leicester are down to 1.4 this campaign, and Brendan Rodgers is still to get the best from this summer's acquisitions, especially midfielder Boubakary Soumaré. The Frenchman, once touted for a move to Man United, pitched up at the King Power for £18 million, but his early numbers suggest Rodgers isn't quite sure what he bought. Last season, Soumaré was one of the best passers in France, getting the ball into the final third 9 times a game, but in the Midlands, that's dropped to 2.6. A difference so big it has to be tactical, not simply the Ligue 1 tax. In fact, Soumaré seems to be more conservative across the board, attempting fewer dribbles with less success than he did before, and instead focusing on winning the ball back, with 3.7 defensive actions a game and 21 pressures, up from 13. The thing is, those defensive numbers are still mediocre, and with Yuri Tielemans' contract up in 18 months, the former Lille man should be groomed to succeed the Belgium as the hub of Leicester's passing, not crowbarred into a workhorse role. If Rodgers persists with using him this way, he risks eliminating what made Soumaré special in the first place. 6. Andre Silva. At £21 million, Andre Silva is Leipzig's second most expensive signing ever, but so far the 26-year-old is underwhelmed. At the time of writing, Silva has produced 5 goals and assists in 14 matches or 1 every 143 minutes, Not terrible, but a huge drop on last season's record of 35 goal involvements for Frankfurt, one every 79 minutes. It's not because Leipzig are worse than Eintracht. The Red Bulls get 14 shots a game, but just 1.5 from the Portuguese, down from a massive 3.7, and his XG has shrunk from 0.8 per 90 to 0.3. The problem is that Jesse Marsch seemed to see Silva as a target man who thrived on crosses, with the result that half his shots are headed, compared to 27% in 2020-21. This perception also means he's expected to be less involved in build-up. Last term he was the target of a teammate's pass 57 times a game, second at Eintracht, but this year that's down to 44, ranking 7th at the Red Bull Arena, behind 3 other attackers, Szoboszlai, Poulsen and Nkunku. Silva's track record suggests he's worth accommodating, but with fewer touches in the penalty area and final third, he won't recreate his Frankfurt form. Perhaps Leipzig's recent slump to mid-table in the Bundesliga will spark a rethink from new manager Domenico Tedesco. 5. Damari Gray. Honestly, we didn't expect Damari Gray to have much of an impact at Everton, but the Englishman started the season on fire. As an old-fashioned winger in a 4-4-2, Gray grabbed 3 Premier League goals in his first 4 games for the Toffees, but then went 10 games without. A raft of injuries forcing Rafa Benitez to try Gray and Andros Townsend behind the striker, a misguided choice, with 2 goal involvements in a combined 8 appearances from the pair. In the centre, Gray does create chances, 1.9 to his normal 0.9 per match, but he's less effective in every other respect. At attacking midfield, he takes 1.5 shots a game, compared to the 3.6 he's averaged from wide. His dribbles also dropping from 2 to 1.5, and while Dominic Calvert-Lewin is out, Everton need that goal threat, with 10 Premier League teams outscoring them at the time of writing. Gray wins the ball less in a central role too, and overall it makes no sense to field him there over Alex Iwobi, a superior passer who lacks Gray's pace and one-on-one ability on the flank. We'd still back Benitez to work it out, but with the club marred in the bottom half, he better do it soon. 4. Adrian Rabiot. Max Allegri's return to Juventus has been dreadful so far, the tactician forcing his team into a 4-4-2, and in the process seeing them win just 7 of 15 league games to date, as well as suffering a 4-0 Champions League loss to Chelsea, their heaviest defeat in any competition since 2004. And in an underperforming squad, perhaps the saddest decline is that of Adrian Rabiot. Relegated to the left wing apparently solely on the basis of his preferred foot, Rabiot's become peripheral, averaging just 50 touches a game, down from nearly 70 last season, and is winning possession less, despite pressing more. And when stuck out wide, he has fewer angles to advance the ball, meaning that he only passes into the final third 1.7 times per 90, down from 4.6 last season, and from 9.2 in his final days at PSG, when he was among the best distributors in Europe. When Chiesa, Kulusevski and Bernardeschi have all been in and out of the lineup, it's strange to see the Frenchman continue to feature on the flank, and clearly it's not paying off. For Allegri, the answer is simple: either play him in the centre, or don't play him at all. 3. Adama Traore. Why isn't Adama Traore a superstar? The Spaniard is exceptionally fast and skillful on the dribble, completing 8 take-ons a game this campaign to rank, as usual, top in Europe. But while his move to the left was meant to make him more involved and dangerous in the absence of Pedro Neto, it hasn't worked for Wolves so far, Traore failing to score or assist with a quarter of the league campaign gone. Early returns had looked good, with Traore averaging 0.7 XG per game through the opening 3 weeks, but since then he hasn't cracked 0.4, and seems more of a drain than an asset. Those shots are up from 1.5 last season to 2.2, he's still getting just 0.5 on target, and those attempts are from further out than ever, implying that he can't find space in the box. And while he's getting more touches in the final third, he's creating fewer chances and has fewer opportunities to break games open with running from deep, his progressive carries dropping to 9.5 from a previous high of 11.5. Ultimately, it seems Wolves are losing more than they're gaining, especially as Traore's form on the right sparked links to Liverpool and former club Barcelona. When Neto returns, expect a swift end to this experiment. 2. Rodrigo De Paul. It's strange when a team pays a fortune for a player just to field them in a brand new role, but that's exactly what Atletico Madrid have done with Rodrigo De Paul, signed from Udinese for £32 million in the summer. After 18 goal involvements in 36 games for the Zebret last campaign, De Paul seemed the perfect hybrid for Simeone, more creative than the average midfielder and more solid than the average attacker, but we're yet to see that on the pitch. It's not like he's been bad. In fact, 8 passes into the final third is his best mark ever, and he's received an unsurprising bump to his defensive stats, going from winning the ball twice a game to nearly 4. But is it worth what's been lost? De Paul has produced just 1 assist in 14 games and gone from taking and assisting 4.8 shots per 90 to 3.5. His dribbling has sunk from an amazing 3 a match to 0.7, and where 45% of his touches used to come high up the field, that's now at 28%. In short, he's become a good but conventional midfielder. If that's all Simeone wanted, he could have spent less money, but now De Paul is there, why not try him over Antoine Griezmann? 1. Mason Greenwood. Already on 4 goals for the season, Mason Greenwood is hardly struggling right now, but there are some bad signs in his numbers. The Englishman is in the bottom 20% of wingers for pressures, tackles and interceptions, while his dribbling is mediocre and his chance creation truly woeful, with only 3% of widemen making fewer key passes per game than his 0.8. If this sounds like criticism, it isn't, at least not of Greenwood. The problem is that the 20-year-old is not a winger, he's a striker, as indicated by his XG tally of 0.4 a game, third best at United, and amazing 3.5 shots a match, which currently ranks 4th in the Premier League. However, he's mostly been fielded on the flank, seeing just 16 of his 75 Premier League appearances through the middle, and that's meant worse chances, with his attempts coming from roughly 19 yards out, compared to 16 last season, and his shot quality dropping from 0.11 XG per match to 0.08, below league average. The solution is for Ronaldo to start just 1 game a week, and Greenwood is beginning to rack up 90s as a striker, so that he's ready to take the number 9 role when CR7 leaves in 2023. It'll take a firm hand to bench the Portuguese, but in their new German manager, United finally have someone with the club's future in mind, and that future is Mason Greenwood. So guys, that was our rundown of 10 players who aren't being used properly this season. What did you guys think of the list, and who did we inevitably miss out? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, please show it some love by smashing the like button and subscribing to Football Daily, and I'll catch you next time.